racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, what a weekend. A 16 over a 1, a 15 over a 2, a shirtless Eric Musselman, and the dream matchup of Mick Cronin and Eric Musselman still very much alive. And Dan, just like that, March is back.
You promised us that we have a March.
Oh, do we have a March? My throat's having a March.
Fairleigh Dickinson, it's the biggest upset in the history of that sport, correct?
Quite a run.
Yeah. Do it against Merrimack. Seriously, unfairly Dickinson. Speaking of alive, Rick Pitino isn't. A 13 seed upsetting a 4 is no longer exciting.
This is what
March is in trouble.
This is what Whittingham was saying. Whittingham is saying he
said it was back.
But now it's in trouble.
He did just say it was back, and
damn you.
And it was the highest televised ratings like the sport has ever had as well. Correct.
Yeah.
But Whittingham was saying he too is bored now by the upset.
Well, it's like Furman, Virginia, albeit like the point spread was narrow. A lot of people had Furman pegged as an upset win, but I've seen the ending of that game.
No,
a
you have
million
not.
times.
Not-
Yes,
That was
I
such a
have.
good game, Woody. What are you talking about?
Whittingham, you haven't seen the ending of that game where the guy just panics and hand grenade lobs a skyhook to the middle of the court.
I have like general basketball incompetence resulting in the other team that's pulling off the upset hitting an incredibly clean shot. Like I've seen
That's
that
the
before.
whole point, though, Witty. Like, the whole point we're doing this is because the big white guy gets in the middle of the court, like, oh, shit, what do I do?
No.
Passes it to the guy, and he hits a 3 in the game.
But, Tony, when you have 2 years of a 16 beating a 1, you have Princeton in the Sweet 16, a 13 beating a 4 is no longer exciting.
Paladins,
The worst in that Arizona thing, or whenever that happens to any team, is the one guy on that, like, on the Arizona team that doesn't have anything to do with that play, and he's just kind of following along, like, okay, crazy pass. Virginia, I'm sorry, not Arizona. They lost somewhere else.
Yeah.
Virginia, a crazy pass to half court. He's like, I'm still okay. No three. Okay, pass, cover that guy. You see this guy, and then the ball goes up, and it's always the hands on the head. There's always one guy on the court who just has this moment of, oh no, the whole season's over, just like that. Like, oh, it's just, you feel for that. I love
I hate
that
those
moment.
moments. No, but I hate them because you know that kid's going to think about that moment every day for the rest of his life. Every day.
Oh, man.
Stuck with it.
And then some a-hole is going to go on his radio show and say it wasn't even an exciting game.
No, it is an undoubtedly exciting game. I'm just saying, like, the formula of underdog beats favorite.
Sports event starts.
Jessica, can you handle the beeps? Whittingham, go sit in the penalty box.
Wow.
Because honestly, if you can't be excited by the way that ended, your sports fandom is damn near close to dead. Like, get out of here. Go sit in the penalty box.
Rick Pitino wants to coach until he's 80. Is Rick Pitino the only one who doesn't know that Rick Pitino has been dead for many years?
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is Rick Pitino the only one who doesn't know that Rick Pitino's been dead for many years?
St. John's offered him the contract. You see that? He's going to sign it in blood.
Yes, he's going to win another championship. He's going to win it.
He's got to wait until nighttime.
None of us are going to see it. We're all going to be dead. But at nighttime, 600 years from now, Pitino's going to win a championship.
I mean, 80. You have 1,000 years to go just to get back to even. How does that work from there?
I don't know how you're doing the math on that.
Me neither. Death, taxes, and Arizona gagging all over March. After losing in the first round of the NCAA tournament, when asked about his future in coaching, Rick Pitino responded, I have no idea. That's cute, Rick. Even for a vampire. Novak, You want a solution? It's called a vaccine. It's amazing to me that one of tennis's greatest shot makers refuses to attempt one shot. The Joker. Has anyone found Mercedes Lewis?
Came in fifth at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Mercedes Lewis?
Yeah, Lewis
for him.
Hamilton for Mercedes.
Oh,
It's a good joke.
where is he, though?
Well, I think they need to resolve all
it
of
to
the
yourself.
things with
You just
Aaron
gave
You
Rodgers.
can't give that to yourself.
Top 5 athletes named after a car brand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Number 5, Cherokee Parks. Number 4.
That's the rare car, and then the last name's the verb of what the car does. That you're not going to find a lot of those.
I didn't realize that when I put it down. Very astute. Ruben Sierra. Number 3, Truck Robinson. Number 2, Jerome Bettis. Busted.
I know, but that
Yeah.
truck's not his real name. It's not the
What do you
type of a
mean?
car. It's you're taking liberties.
Number 1, Andy Van Slyke. Dan.
I think those last three, man. That was a bad list.
I could have got Cadillac Williams. You're right. I didn't do it. I went with the bus.
TJ Ford.
We started off
TJ
really
Ford.
strong.
A lot
you're good
of
at this.
Fords. Whitey Ford's probably the Ford I would have went with. I mean, slightly better than TJ.
You went
Bronco Mendenhall.
Van.
Bronco Mendenhall.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that again at some point, but not now. Cherokee Parks.
Jane Honda.
Yes, of course.
Fuera.
You go sit in the penalty box.
What?
Jane Honda, not an athlete. Like, what are you doing? It's not her name.
When I found out Javon Curse was on my airplane, I've never felt safer. The freak. What's going to happen if the freak's on your airplane? Right?
you guys thinking that a plane can't go down because there's a celebrity on it is one of the weirdest.
It's Javon Curse.
I guarantee you the people on the flight with Nuke Rockney were like, oh, we're good, guys.
Clemente, Roberto Clemente as well.
When I found out Frank Gore was on that same flight, I feared the plane would only fly 3.5 yards at a time. Keeps landing.
All the way to Canton. 3.5
I had
yards
Frank
at a
Gore
time.
and Curse on the same plane. What a plane. Oh, boy. The Jets can't find Bakhtiari because he's hibernating for the winter. Where is that guy? Where's Mercedes Lewis?
He's not part of
what
the
are
deal.
the Jets doing?
Stugotz, why do you keep
Bakhtiari's always part of the deal, Dan.
He's not part
I
of the-
promise you.
Nobody said anything about him being on the wish list. Only you were putting him on the wish list.
It's an unwritten rule. I mean, they know. Wherever Aaron goes, Bakhtiari follows and protects him. That's how they roll. But he's hibernating. Dan, you know what the B in Bakhtiari stands for?
I do not.
Bear. Calvin Sampson doesn't age. He's still at it.
Yes, he is. Yes.
Were you surprised?
No, well, I mean, all these guys are still at it. Rick Pitino's still at it.
That's a good point.
Ichiro Suzuki.
That was also a good. He doesn't know what game
Oh,
you're playing.
man. Oh,
He was so
Suzuki.
confused by
I
it.
was thinking so long. Suzuki. Who can I go with? Man. I have to redo this list. Ichiro. Mick Cronin still wears a suit. He barely opens his mouth when talking to people on his bench. If Musselman takes his shirt off anywhere near Mick Cronin, I can't predict what will happen next. Are you excited for this?
There's someone is not going to survive. It's not just survive in advance. Someone will be
It's gonna
dead.
be Mark Few.
Someone will be dead at the end of all of that.
Mark Few.
That's a gauntlet Few is running through right there of coaches. Izzo too, you said?
Yep.
Izzo, Musselman, and Cronin.
Oh my God.
Few won't survive that.
What a march. I didn't know FAU had a basketball program until Selection Sunday. They are a hoot to watch. It's like an NBA team. What? They're good. Brandon Cooks to the Cowboys. Nice little piece.
Why didn't they just keep Amari Cooper?
I don't know.
Like,
It's more fun to get Cooks, though. I mean,
Is it?
I don't know.
Chestnut checkers, Dano.
Cooks is good. No one ever keeps him, but he's good.
Yeah, traded more than
I think
any
they are
NFL
getting
player.
him a little cheaper than Cooper's deal was. I
Barely.
think it was like 20 mil, and I think they're paying Cooks like 13
But
mil.
in draft picks, it was
Yeah.
about the same.
Adam Thielen to the Panthers. Things are starting to happen in Carolina, Dan. What do you mean? Traded for the first pick, Adam Thielen, Frank Reich. Things are starting to happen in Carolina.
They signed Hayden Hurst and Miles Sanders. Like, what is that?
Like I said. I didn't say they were
Amari
good
Cooper.
things.
Amari Cooper.
Car.
That's correct.
Yep.
Stugotz.
Yeah. Thank you, and I'm sorry.
Chuck Pagani.
You go sit in the penalty box.
Oh, my God. Death, taxes, and Tom Izzo advancing to the Sweet 16. No market in America cares less about college basketball than South Florida, and yet we have 2 of the final 16 teams remaining.
I was on a plane on Friday night going up to New England where I had my MLS game,
Yeah.
and there was not a single person on the flight that was watching the Miami game. We were
Really?
flying out of Fort Lauderdale. There was not a single person watching the Miami game.
Would you walk up the entire plane and check every
No,
TV?
I've done that,
looking
though.
in front of me. No, but I was
Were you looking for someone else
it
to
was
high
late.
five or something?
Yeah, actually, I was. It was late in the game.
Excuse me, chaps?
Somebody,
Anyone watching?
somebody
Lads,
hit a big
anybody? Lads?
three.
University of Miami?
Someone hit a big three,
So
and I
sad.
let out I did like a big fist bump
You
over
were the
my
only
seat,
one?
and I was like looking around. Is anyone? No? Okay.
Embiid, Jokic, Embiid. I don't care who wins the MVP. Both of you, do it in the postseason. Seriously. People criticizing Jet fans, wanting them to act like they've been there before. Here's the problem. We've never been here before. We haven't. We wish this wasn't the highlight of our fandom, but it is.
It's weird.
I'm not going to apologize for it. Sister Jean taking some sort of credit for Princeton collision course. It's going to happen. Dusty May is having a march. Speaking of March, I told you so. Every Netflix show I watch either has someone neck deep in a lake or someone being lost in the woods. Every show I watch, every one of them. I mean, they get me every time. You stick a picture of someone who is neck deep in a lake going the wrong way, and I will watch you.
What does that mean?
I don't have any idea
Neck
what he's
deep
talking
going the
about.
wrong way?
Drowning.
I don't know what he's talking about. Like, I don't know any of the Netflix shows he's talking about.
So in the drowning, they're drowning down though. They're like above the water, but they're drowning.
You don't know if they're going to survive or they're going to keep going down. I mean, that's why you watch.
He's right. It's every episode of Outer Banks.
Yeah, she's
Whatever
right on
she
that
said.
One. Yeah, Outer
Yes.
Banks. OBX.
That's the show I'm talking about. It's a good show.
We all know
Not
that
really.
we all know that all of our Netflix experiences are different, right? Stugotz gets more of these because he watches them.
Yes.
But
They
we're-
recommend them to me.
Yeah, we're all
Right.
algorithmically different.
Yeah. It's always a piece of clothing hanging off a branch in the woods somewhere. I mean,
That one I know what you
Yeah.
mean. That one I know what you mean. I'm in on that one.
and the feature film, like the feature of the day, nearly impossible not to watch. Little glimpse, cup of coffee. See if it's good. Hooks me in. Seth Greenberg said if Alabama gets past San Diego State, they'll win the national championship. But also said San Diego State will not be a cakewalk. And that, my friends, is covering all your bases. I want to say this will be Drew Timmy's last opportunity.
it's really not covering all your bases because they can get past San Diego State and then lose.
No, but he's saying that they're going to win, but it won't be a cakewalk.
I know, but they can get
Beat San Diego State and they win the whole thing. Enchilada.
That's where they would meet.
Ball of wax.
That's where they would meet at the end.
Yes.
That's the only place they can meet.
It's the only two options, according to Seth Greenberg.
I don't think you have this right, though. I don't know that Alabama can play San Diego State for only the championship.
Well, he's saying that San Diego State are the only team that can give them a problem.
Correct.
And it won't be a cakewalk.
It won't be a cakewalk. But if they get past it, right.
National title.
Yeah, if they walk past the cake.
But there's other teams.
Yes.
But they can then lose after that.
Seth is saying, no, it's
Seth
over.
is saying
This
nobody
is
else
it.
can beat them. It's just San Diego State.
Only San Diego State.
They're the only team left
Tony
that can beat
Gwynn?
them.
No reason to watch the rest. I mean, this is the national championship game. I love March. Do you know if this is Drew Timmy's last opportunity?
I don't.
Does anyone?
Be playing until he's 30.
Oh, my God. Who would have ever thought that a guy named Gabe Plotkin would be an upgrade over Michael Jordan? As bad as Michael Jordan has been as an owner, LeBron will be worse. Soccer has its group of death. March Madness has its bracket of hell. Izzo, Cronin, and Musselman. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Justin Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to unemployed temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thimble of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton.
Hey guys, you get a shotgun of beer or what?
I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now.
To the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Let's do another round of shots. One more round.
It's showtime, buddy.
I've got another stat of the day presented by Venmo. Your money, your move. This comes courtesy of the Just Women Sports newsletter. Last night, Dan, Stanford, the number 1 seed in the women's bracket, got upset by Ole Miss. They are the first number 1 seed to fall short of the Sweet 16 since 2009, and just the 8th number 1 seed to lose in the first or second round in the history of the women's tournament. Kate Fagan and I have Tara Vanderveer on Off the Looking Glass this week. We talked to her before this historic upset, so congrats to us on fantastic planning for Off the Looking Glass. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts.
Feel bad for whoever's editing that.
I was surprised when I saw that on the cover of ESPN.com because I don't feel like the 1 seed almost ever loses until late, and you've just
since 2009.
Yeah, you've proven it.
There's always such a big imbalance between the difference between the 1 seed in women's college hoops and the 16 seed. I feel like the gulf is way bigger, and like you just don't.
But closing now, right?
Yeah.
As the sport grows, you see
Stanford at home.
I don't remember where the game was.
That's the other part of the first 2 rounds.
Home court.
There's home court.
Yeah.
Like Miami are away tonight against the 1 seed Big Ten champion Indiana, and you're an even bigger underdog because you're playing on the road.
And there's also always like seeding issues. Like Stanford was a controversial 1 seed to begin with because they started out really strong and then they slid a little bit during the conference tournament. They ended up losing the second round. They lost late in the season to Utah. And Washington State, who ended up winning the Pac-12 conference championship, ended up getting a higher seed because of that. And they got upset in the first round, upset in air quotes by Florida Gulf Coast, who I think most people thought was the better team, but because they're in a smaller conference, don't get the benefit of the doubt. It's kind of the same thing that happens in the men's side with, different conferences getting favoritism for their seeding. So, but that goes to show you what a historic upset it is because we planned this out ahead and thought surely the Stanford Cardinal will make it to the second weekend of the tournament. We had Cameron Brink on last week, who's one of their best players, and Tara Vanderveer on this week, and we were like, oh, we'll be fine, because as long as they make it through the first weekend, which, of course they will, they're the number 1 seed, we'll be fine.
I don't want to blame you guys, but...
I mean, there might be a little bit of a jinx happening. However, I don't think so, because we had Aaliyah Boston
I don't want to
on
blame you.
our first episode, and South Carolina is one of the first teams, I think, in like 2 decades to win 40 games in a row, something like that. I mean, they're breaking records left and right.
Off the Looking Glass, Le Batard and Friends Network. You should find it wherever it is you get your podcast. Speaking of jinxes, we had Dusty May on earlier, and he didn't know, the FAU coach, he didn't know what his bonuses were, and I promised not to say it while he was on the air. You're calling him a liar?
I mean, I'm sure he knows what he knows. What's going on. I mean, come on, what are we doing here?
Brave of you to do it a full hour after he's
No,
left
I did
the
it while he was
premises.
on, just off mic.
Okay.
He was also trying to get Stugotz to ask him what his next job is going to be.
When you asked him about recruiting, I was like, for Notre Dame?
We're in negotiations to see if we can indeed get Chris Cody on the bench at Madison Square Garden.
We should send them this segment. This will really
waving a
win them
towel.
over.
Yes, right. But he, for a salary, Stugotz, makes about $500,000 a year.
Right.
And in bonuses, he's made $700,000 so far. So he has one-upped his salary just by the run that two South Florida the second of the South Florida teams in the Sweet 16 is made.
When FAU gives that contract, you think they put in like the price for the Sweet 16?
Laughing.
There's never a chance in hell we'll have to play this money.
This guy has a Sweet 16 clause.
This fool we hired thinks we're going to the Sweet 16.
He's adorable.
They should put a clause in there where it's like, if you get to the Sweet 16, you have to stay for one more year. If you reach it, you're stuck with us for an extra year. At least one.
Let's update March Sadness here a little more. The South Bracket. Again, we will tell you that this is all sponsored by Dollar Shave Club. Number 1, Alabama, Stugotz, has looked overwhelming all year. That means this is still in the tournament.
Chris Sims looked like the father of your 10-year-old son's bully.
So true. Gone from the tournament. Number 8, Maryland.
Brian Dayball looks like the helpful Home Depot employee who always wears his lumbar support belt.
Before we move on, we're kind of debating back here. Chris Sims to his son, who's a bully, is he like encouraging this behavior, or is he
right
like
behind
is
him.
he the like strict parent that's like, no, do not be a bully? You've got him just.
I've got him standing behind the bullying kid, like,
his
hit
son.
him harder.
His son has become such a good bully because he has a father who encourages it and looks like Chris Sims.
Chris Sims.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Chris Sims is calling the other little kid soft.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And his father.
And is bemoaning kids nowadays.
He's talking
Chris
to
Sims
the
is bullying the other dad.
He's talking to the other parent, calling the kid soft to
That's
the
right.
parent. Yeah,
That's
for
right.
sure.
Also gone from the tournament, number 9, West Virginia.
Alex Caruso looks like the lovable, supporting character who is going to die tragically in a World War II film.
Early in a World War II film.
Inside of 20 minutes, yes.
Number 16, Texas A&M CC is also gone.
Zach Taylor looks like he's waiting for his waiter to come back so he can ask for a side of ketchup.
San Diego State Stugotz has advanced. Again, if you were listening earlier, their all-time basketball assist leader is Tony Gwynn. San Diego State has advanced. That means this has advanced.
Brandon Staley looked like he can never remember if he turned off the oven before he left the house.
Good. Steve Fisher still there? Or?
That means this is gone as well.
Andy Dalton looked like a camp counselor who constantly gets pants by the campers.
Red Rifle.
Also gone is this.
Kim Mulkey looked like the TV psychic from the 90s who just spoke with your dead grandma, or maybe it was your childhood dog.
Also gone this.
Adam Silver looked like a Van de Graaff generator at a junior high school science lab. What the hell is a Van de Graaff?
None of us know. We will update more tournament in a second, Stugotz, but I did want to get to this spring training sound again from Chris Cody and Billy Gill because it was really good. And if you missed it, this is the second time that Chris Cody and Billy Gill have made fools of themselves on the broadcast. I think, oddly enough, before we get to this new and fresh sound, I think the funniest sound from what we've already played, and all of the clips were spectacular in their incompetence. But I don't know if there was anything funnier in any of the clips than just this as an aside.
Marlins losing 10-0 here in the third. Still early, Kyle.
9-run second didn't help.
All of us learning at the second time, at the same time, what the score of the game was.
Marlins losing 10-0 here in the third.
You can make the argument us being there on that day was perfect because there was a lot of time to fill. Because they've been bragging about how fast these spring training games have been, but of course we had the longest one of the spring because of a few really long innings.
What was the final?
10-0 here in the third.
16-2, the Marlins lost.
Wow.
Let's play another clip from Billy Gill and Chris Cody doing Marlins spring training baseball on the radio.
We should get through the Trevor Rogers stuff early, though, because he's probably only going to go 4, right?
Well, last time he went 4. It would be really good if he went maybe 5.
That damn Jordan Walker wasn't fouling off so many pitches, you know?
Did you just swear on the air?
Oh, can I not say that?
No. Let's refrain. Might have to hit the dump button back in the station, folks. There's a swing of a line drive up the middle and a base hit for Nolan Gorman leading off the top of the second inning.
I thought I was coming in hot last inning. Billy really just taking the mantle.
Yeah.
See, all right, so the issue here is Kyle is very rarely around cursing. So I think damn is safe. Billy called some player this damn guy, and you should have seen Kyle was just like trying to do the call. I think we need to dump this back in the studio. Like Kyle was freaking out. I don't think it's a curse word. I think they were safe, but it was just funny to see the fear on Kyle and Billy, because you know Billy, he's a rebel rouser, but he doesn't actually want to offend any. So when he thought, oh my God, I just cursed and they had to dump something, the look on Billy's face was the best part of that.
Imagine if he said Stouffer stovetop pudding.
Did you just swear on the air?
Oh, can I not say that?
No. Let's refrain. Might have to hit the dump button back in the station, folks. There's a swing of a line drive up the middle and a base hit.
That wasn't all Billy did to bring it to a dark place. You got to play this clip. It's a little bit longer, but it's chef's kiss here from Billy.
I have a morbid question for you, Kyle.
Oh, fire away. Now we're talking.
Okay, so you see this man that's walking here. He's walking in with a Cardinals jersey that says "Together." Older gentleman.
Yep, he's got the cream-colored jersey on.
Yeah, so he has a jersey that says "Together." And then presumably, oh yeah, there you go. The person
they've been
wife.
together since
and
19.
Then and we don't see the second number. Right.
Oh, that's adorable.
Well, yes. Heaven forbid though one of them passes.
Oh wow.
Do you retire the jersey?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think the question is, do you put it in like a case? Do you frame it? First pitch of Joey Wendell's a called strike.
Maybe you buried it with the person, right?
Boy, we have taken a dark turn. You're right. Yikes. Maybe the 0-1. Swing and a miss. You can go ask him. That'd be wild.
I mean, he's kind of close. We could just shout down. No, let's not.
No, let's not. You erred on the side of caution there. That's good.
1968. Together since 1968.
Oh, they have a long way to go.
Do they?
0-2, swing and a miss. They've been together 55 years, those two lovebirds.
That's beautiful.
You don't care.
Solid math.
What do you mean I don't
from
care?
Kyle.
I love love.
Kyle, did we pull the calculator out on the computer? Or was
Not
that
my
a prank?
phone. It was on my phone.
He must hate you guys so much. Like it's unbelievable that's
The 2-2.
That's always funny. The 0-1. No matter.
I'll spend all night out in Venice and make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney?
It is!
Baby one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thin bowl of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton.
Hey guys, Brand. You get a shotgun of beer or what?
I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now.
To the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super
Let's do another round of shots. One more round.
It's showtime, buddy.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me and is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the black baller. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Heaven or hell.
The shipping container is saying that Chris Cody is already making demands about where he gets to sit on the bench for FAU as a celebratory mascot.
I'd say fair demands he's making.
Well, like Dusty May, I don't have an agent. So I'm out here just demanding for myself, and I'm just saying I'm willing to do this, but if it's a thing where it's like, yeah, we'll get you a ticket, then, I don't want to be in section 148, row 9.
He said there's plenty
the
of room.
bench.
I know he said that, Dan, but then, like, that's how this works. It's like, yeah, come on down, and then I show up, and it's like, will call section 242.
You're on the catwalk at MSG.
Which is not bad for the Sweet 16 at Madison Square Garden, but you should be on the bench.
He made promises.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you're going so that you can be in the shot when the camera cuts to the bench, and you're doing like you're pretending to eat a bowl of cereal or whatever the kids do these days.
I want you in uniform. I want you in uniform.
Now, see, that's just not gonna happen. You guys have me. Like, I'm with you. That would be amazing.
He's got to go no shirt under the uniform.
I love
though,
the
right?
idea of an emergency situation where he has to put Chris Cody in.
I'll settle very, very happily for people all over our country because you're in uniform, wondering when they look at you. Wait a minute, that guy plays?
Who's this chubby kid for FAU?
But you're also going to be shorter than everybody. So basically, they'd be looking at you and they'd be like, well, based on his size, so quickness is what they have him for, is it?
It's a great advertisement for our show. I mean, and the games are on TNT. No weird ESPN stuff going on.
I kind of would prefer, though, if Chris were like the guy in a polo and slacks that has to run up and put the chairs down for the timeout huddle. That's
now
a
you're
very
talking.
important job.
Now
Where
you're
you say,
talking.
like, all right, like, you know that the under 16 is coming. He runs up. All right, yeah, I got put the chair down.
Yeah.
Hand the coach the whiteboard. Oh,
I could do
sounds
that.
like such a great gig.
Although all of a sudden, in like a crucial moment, they're like, "Where's my chair?" And I'm like, you know what I'm doing? Just wacky stuff somewhere.
No, this was a thing that I often get really invested in random sports and try to figure out how I can worm my way into them too. And at first with Formula One, I was like, ooh, maybe I can drive the safety car. No, you can't do that. That car goes like 250 miles an hour. Like that's a professional stunt driver driving it.
I don't know about that, but it's like
it goes incredibly
much faster
fast.
than you think.
It goes incredible and like around hairpin turns. And then I was like, oh, maybe I could be a ball girl at the Miami Open. And then I watched the Australian Open this year, and I'm like, oh my god, I would tear both of my ACLs in 5 seconds if I had to run that fast and like.
Some girl got hit in the head
cut on
in
a
the
dime.
Australian Open,
Oh,
right?
it looks dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, the uniforms are cute. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I could do that either. But Chris Cody, I think you've carved out a good lane for yourself here.
Speaking of good lanes, I think that you and Whittingham would have a good lane as F1 debate show television, because the two of you were screaming at each other in an argument about F1 before we started today. You disagree vehemently about his knee-jerk reaction to the F1 season so far.
She was yelling in my face. Wow. And I was yelling in her face, and we put a camera on it. We were Stephen A. and Skip.
We had to
Which
hit
one
you
are
guys
you?
with the save it for the show in our
because
pre-show
you were
meeting.
yelling at each other.
We agree on one thing, but we disagree on the reasoning why and the outcomes of it. So the issue at hand is that Formula One may be on the brink of a very boring season because of how good the Red Bulls are. And this is also part of my F1 minute today because I don't have one because the race was very boring. The biggest controversy from the race was, did Fernando Alonso get third place? Because they gave it to him and then they took it away and then they gave it back. That was the only exciting thing that happened. And it happened after everyone left
Because
the
he
race.
didn't park his car in the start within the lines.
Very silly
That was
stuff.
the exciting bit.
But Chris thinks that all the new Formula One fans are going to be like, all right, this is actually kind of boring, right?
Yeah. And like I'm gonna try and keep my interest up over the course of the season. And I was really excited for yesterday because when you listen to I listen to all these podcasts and they try and hype up like something's gonna happen, something's gotta change, and the answer is no, it doesn't. Red Bull is so much better than everybody else. They figured out the new regulations, and that is even worse because it's not even just that like, well, obviously Max Verstappen is the best driver, though he didn't win yesterday. But like, we don't even get to see if these guys are actually better drivers than one another. It's just which team puts together the best car. And so it's Red Bull against Ferrari, against Mercedes, but the sport was sold to us as personalities. On the Netflix show, you learn about all these people. But now it's not even about the people. It's about the engineers. And at what point do you go, this sport is competitive engineering that, like, it was sold to you as one thing. It was that thing when in 2021, in 2022, incredibly close races, and then all of a sudden you're asking all these people, this new fan of this thing, to be like, it's not about the people anymore, it's about the engineers. It's not interesting.
I disagree that new Formula One fans don't realize that. Like, the whole sport is creating the cars, and yes, there are drivers that are better than other drivers, but you know, you have to have a fast car to win.
Yeah.
But I also think that the bigger problem this season, it's not that Red Bull has the fastest car and the best two drivers on the grid. It's that there's no Nepo babies crashing late in the race, causing a safety car and wreaking havoc, because that's what we need. That's what makes the ends of races interesting. Sometimes you get a weird, wacky safety car. Last two races, there was one safety car. It was actually someone's
It was the
son,
Nepo baby. It was the lone Nepo baby.
The lone Nepo baby, who was actually a very good driver. So, you know, it wasn't his
Works
fault.
hard.
His car broke down. But, like, you know, when I started watching Formula One, you get a Nicholas Latifi crash here. You get a Mick Schumacher's car is in half here. You
Nikita Mazepin.
Yeah, you get a little bit of this and that. And now this season, all the drivers are really good, so no one's screwing up as much. It's good because, you know, it's important.
Are you thinking that Whittingham is going to end up being right, that it will end up being comparatively a boring season? Because it can't be about the engineering.
Well,
you need narrative, storylines, personalities. The human beings have to be what's being rooted for.
They are, but I would say, like, it depends. There's only been two races. Woody's right that the first two races of the season have been really boring. Like the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix yesterday, Max Verstappen's car broke down during qualifying, so he started in 15th, and he still finished in second place in the race because he's so fast, and all the other drivers just let him go by. No one even attempts to challenge him.
He had the fastest lap, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was a controversy in itself.
Stu, look at you.
Yeah.
Fair play. But yeah, so Max Verstappen's car breaks down in qualifying. He qualifies in 15th out of 20th. So going into the race, like, all right, we have our intrigue. This is it. Max Verstappen's not going to win. What's the drama going to be? But I looked on DraftKings. He was plus 130 to win the race from 15th. He had to pass 14 cars to win, and he was only plus 130, and he only didn't win because his teammate, Checo Perez, was fast enough to hold him off. But otherwise, it was a foregone conclusion that Max Verstappen was going from 15th to second. And he did it less than halfway into the race. He was in second.
Yeah, they have like just leaps and bounds. Lewis Hamilton said it might be the fastest car he's ever seen in Formula One, like in all of his years of racing. Like, this is the fastest car he's ever seen. But I don't know. I think there's still an opportunity for other things to happen through the course of the season that will be interesting and keep people's
It's not going to be a race to the championship, though. That's the thing. Yeah. We know who the champion's going to be in week 2.
It rarely is, and that's what I think. I think most fans understand that. Like, 2021 was an anomaly. You're never going to have a situation. I doubt there will ever be a situation where you'll have the top 1 and 2 guy racing the final lap of the final race. The winner takes all. Like, that just doesn't happen very often in Formula One.
That was the introductory season for a lot of people. 2021 was this huge bump in ratings for ESPN, and a bunch of people got into it. And that it's sort of like jumping into the middle of like the Patriots losing to the Giants in the Super Bowl. That was your first NFL season. It's like, wow, it's going to be like this every year? No, it's not. And I'm kind of curious like how much that interest is going to fall off and how much it can be sustained in what's going to be a pretty boring season.
I think we need some funny business up in here.
Yeah,
let's go.
We need some chicanery.
Drop some banana peels. Some teammates,
yes.
like, you know, run them into the boards or something.
Banana peels make everything funnier.
Yeah.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Do banana peels make everything funnier? Stugotz, I want to update March Sadness, brought to you by Dollar Shave Club, because I believe that this bracket that I'm going to reveal right now is the one that has the most looks likes that are going to hurt to see gone from the tournament.
Okay.
That it really stinks that this is the winner, that Creighton is the winner, and that all of these others are knocked off. So this is going to advance.
Andy Reid looks like someone who looks at your chicken wing bones and says, there's still meat on those.
And I think all of the ones eliminated are better than that. Like, for example, number 3, Baylor.
Booker McFarlane looks like he came from the future to warn his younger self, Zion Williamson, about tax evasion.
That is better.
Really good.
Upsets happen, though, Dan. It's March.
I know. Thank you, Stugotz. Number 11, NC State is gone. That means this is gone.
Greg Norman looked like he owned the island where he hunts other men for sport.
That was too high.
I'm not certain he doesn't.
Too high or too low?
Too low. Too high?
High or low.
Tony, go sit in the penalty box again.
Dan.
Number 14, UCSB is gone, and this hurts. This one is way too low.
Quinn Snyder looked like the guy sitting at the end of a dusty small town bar who, when you ask him, are you Quinn Snyder? Takes a long drag of a cigarette, looks wistfully into the distance before replying, I used to be.
Really good. I wouldn't have had any problem with that being a 1 seat.
Alabama.
Remember upsets, though, Dano.
Yeah, thank you, Chris Cody.
In the meeting, when I strongly advocated for that one. In the selection committee meeting, if it went beyond one sentence, the entire room was like, nope, get it out of here, put it low.
They don't like the long
They don't
ones.
like the long ones. So it was the selection committee bias.
Well, Adam McKay and Mike Schur were also writing some of the long ones, and
They
they're
couldn't
just not funny
They
guys.
couldn't get in. They did not get any in. Mike Schur and they are responsible, and Adam McKay, responsible for a good deal of comedy content in our lifetimes, could not get into the tournament.
A little peek behind the curtain here of how this works. We read these out loud, and then I go, 6. Yep.
I'll spend all night out in Venice. Then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling. But I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin. Not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Justin Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby once got you at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thin bowl of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
His name, of course, is Wade Jones.
Did the Jets get Rodgers yet?
Hello. I'm trying to find out who that is. So, here we go. Can I flip it now? Ooh, baseball. Okay.
Damn, my baseball player knowledge is not great.
Who that is, I feel like I'm among the leaders in this competition. I'm a little worried, though. I don't like the smile that Taylor has.
Holy shit, who is that? Who is that?
All right, Taylor tells me Mike Ryan says I'm going to get this one. I don't know what he means by that. This is easy. This is so easy.
All right, this week's edition of Who Dat Is. This is a baseball player. Oh, no.
What's my guy from the Nationals? No? You know the guy, right? You know that guy from the Nationals.
It's not Jose Reyes. Is it Jose Reyes? Elvis Andrus.
This is the Mets. Indian shortstop, plays for the Mets now. This is like 8:30 in the morning, and I'm really tired, so that's why I haven't said the name yet. I clearly know who this is.
So okay, so it's a Met. It's a Met.
It's a Met. I don't know my own players.
He plays second base, right? No. He plays outfield now. He used to play second base. No?
No. No, I do not know who this is.
I didn't want to guess because guessing wrong would probably be bad here. I'm out.
I don't even know. I don't know.
Ready? This is Francisco Lindor.
Oh, come on.
That's easy. That's an easy one.
To whom?
You didn't get it?
I didn't get it. I came out of the blue with this game. I get it.
No one got this one? This one's not hard. This is the first one I got.
This is a baseball player, obviously. Is this Lindor? Yeah, I'm a big baseball guy now. F. Lindor.
Wow, I'm having a moment right now. Lindor. It's 8:30. What's Francisco Lindor? Jesus.
Francisco Lindor. You know what the F in Francisco Lindor stands for? You.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thimble of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton. Hey
guys, need a shotgun of beer or what? I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now.
It's showtime, buddy.
racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me and is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackball the blackballer.
Please put it on the poll, Juju at Le Batard Show. Do the Detroit Pistons make you sad? I was watching yesterday, and them closing the game with Rodney Magruder and Corey Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
And then they gave the stat. The Detroit Pistons have won 23 games or fewer the last 3 seasons.
Oh, 3 seasons. Yikes. Corey Joseph closing games is one of the funniest things that you could imagine. Corey Joseph, it's 2023.
No, and the game was closed throughout, and then the last 5 minutes, everybody who was in that arena knew what was going to happen. And it's
Losing time.
And it's what happened. The last 5 minutes of an NBA game, they're playing against an NBA team, and they're not an NBA team. And so at the end, they lose
tanking,
by double
right?
digits.
Like they don't. Like Corey Joseph is not the plan. Right?
Corey Joseph is never the plan.
Were you able to find the Rodney Magruder sound that I was looking for? Because I thought that Draymond Green really came into the national consciousness as someone who would dismiss others in a way that was funny and rabid when he was really barking at Rodney Magruder in a way that was insulting.
Draymond, what happened at the end there with Magruder?
I don't know. I was in the locker room. But apparently he was taking up for Wayne Ellington. When the Rodney Magruder become the tough guy of the team? Like, I don't know, man. Everybody in the league tough these days. It's crazy. I've seen a lot of tough guys this year. I don't understand it. Don't nobody do anything. Like, if you really wanted to do something, you could have done it. Walk over there talking like he's a team tough guy. Get the hell out of here. Tough guy, Rodney. Tough guy.
That's the best part.
I don't know, man. There's too many tough guys in this league these days for me. But I know ain't nobody scared of no damn Rodney Magruder. Like, kidding me? It's crazy.
The dismissive Rodney in the middle of that, he went and got that from his groin. Like, he got that. He went
Rodney. Tough guy. Tough guy, Rodney.
It's great.
Rodney. It's the proper.
Rodney.
It's the proper.
Tough guy.
He had to do it once. You're right.
It's the proper disgust in his voice. It's just so dismissive.
Tough guy, Rodney.
I enjoyed this weekend. We will get to some NFL news from the weekend in a second, but I don't think we'll find anything funnier than Lamar Jackson promising on social media. He hasn't talked since December 2nd. A, quote, exclusive interview with myself, quote.
We've done like
2023, man.
Like Funny or Die style, where like he is actually in a chair in a suit, and then there's like opposite himself, and
He's gonna grant himself the exclusive.
He's just talking to a mirror.
You should absolutely do it that way.
They do it like the glossy Fox NFL Sunday style, where there's a big boom mic hanging over the set.
I'd like an explanation. Does anyone in the room have an explanation? Because I like Brandon Cooks too. I like anybody who can just run past the defense. Brandon Cooks has been doing that with everyone he's ever played for. And if you could do it with the Houston Texans, Davis Mills is your quarterback, you can do it. And it's a very Dallas Cowboys type of pickup. I thought that DeAndre Hopkins was kind of clamoring to go there, and they get Brandon Cooks instead. And so you're putting together Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Brandon Cooks. But I think they could have just had Amari Cooper, and that would have been pretty overwhelming as well.
Yeah.
I mean, in some way, is that not the sacrifice of paying Ezekiel Elliott a lot of money? You can't pay everybody. And so they gave Ezekiel Elliott a lot of money. Jerry Jones said, we go as Ezekiel Elliott goes, and then all of a sudden you have no money left for Amari Cooper. You have to make financial decisions.
And everybody's telling him, hey, that's a horrible idea. Not even just giving him this contract, taking him 4th overall when they did. It was like, hey, this is a bad idea. Let's not do this. Then they pay him and pay him and pay him, and now just this is what you got.
But the moves they made, Gilmore was the other guy they got,
Gilmore's
right?
a good pickup for
so
them.
they have 2 good cornerbacks adding to what's already a good defense, plus that wide receiver in the NFC. Like, Dallas is good.
Well, not only is Dallas good, go and look at the quarterbacks in the NFC.
Right.
Go and look
They
at
might
all
have
of
the
them.
second best one.
They are all terrible. Like, there is not a lot of good quarterbacking happening there.
I mean, he's 2nd or 3rd, depending on whether Brady comes back.
You mentioned Ezekiel Elliott. When they signed him coming out of college, do you think that they could have imagined what his last play as a Cowboy would look like?
Oh, no. I forgot about the snap.
Oh, my God, that's right.
The snap.
That's how his career ended. The last play was him at center getting bulldozed
They
on
have
a
to bring him back
this is
on
gonna
a,
work,
They have
guys.
to bring him back on like a $3 million deal just so that's not the final play of his Cowboys career.
The Cowboys have done this move before where they cut somebody and then end up re-signing him for lesser, so he could end up back there. But that can't be the last play. He needs to go back there.
I wanted to ask you guys something about what's going on with the Memphis Grizzlies, Stugotz, because there are a couple of things here, right? They are a young team that's immature in a lot of ways. And now they have made a rule that the Memphis Grizzlies are not staying overnight in any of the cities where they're playing in after the game, like Miami. And it's
even the boring ones. I mean,
it's giving, maybe not the boring ones, I don't know, but the point of it is still these young guys need a babysitter. These young guys cannot be trusted as adults to not go out in a city and make a mess of things. And Dylan Brooks is getting an interesting kind of polarizing fame. You saw he was fined $35,000 for pushing a cameraman during a Heat game unnecessarily, didn't need to do it, was getting up, pushed the cameraman, and Jason Jackson of the Heat has said that cameraman is injured and remains under evaluation, which has now made Dylan Brooks say, I'm going to call that guy. He may have called him already.
Do not touch Terry. All right, Dylan Brooks?
That's right.
Do not touch a hair on the head of Terry, our cameraman. And he already did. Don't do it again.
Well,
you're not welcome back in this town.
Okay, well, I don't know what you're doing.
Is he going to fight him? Or
yeah, it's me.
He's sticking up for a member of his crew.
Yeah, come on. What do you want from me?
That's
I gotta,
Jeremy's crew. Is all
that's
the
about
camera
as fiery
people,
as
all
I
the
can get,
producers,
guys.
all the
I'm not a
runners.
fighter.
Well, when he comes
Guys in
back
the
to
truck.
town, what are you going to do?
I'm going to walk away quietly. I'm not going to go anywhere near him.
Should've heard
I'm
what he
not
said
going
off
to
air.
absolutely cower. Yeah, off air, you should have heard it. On air, it was pretty weak.
Don't touch a hair on his head after you've already
He's
touched
bald.
the hairs. Oh, he is bald. Okay.
Wow.
So even worse.
Very good.
I did a great job. I'm proud of myself.
You are threatening Dylan Brooks, but what do you make of the general immaturity that we're talking about there, Stugotz, where you've got a team that wants to be ready to knock off the Warriors, wants badly for there to be the feeling of a rivalry with the Warriors. They just beat the Warriors. The Warriors lose to everybody on the road. That team's not winning the championship this year. That whole thing has expired. They're not going to be able to win the West. But what do you make after or while they're losing at Memphis? Klay Thompson is still going to the move that's an argument ender, which he's just counting with his fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 championships.
Pathetic.
You have Dylan
Pathetic.
Brooks.
Yeah.
It's enough
It's
already.
the ultimate scoreboard.
No, it's not. Every time you get hammered, Golden State, like they
On the
literally
road.
lose by 14 against Golden State or against Memphis, and you're doing the 1, 2, 3, 4 thing, like they're a 500 team this year. You cannot lean on your championships every time. I think it is the absolutely lamest retort. Doing the champion, we're losing. We're losing, but we won the war. Like enough. Beat somebody on the day.
You can lean on the championships as long as you're leaning on a guy who doesn't have any championships. You could still go to that until he wins a championship. That's all he's doing. I think he said who's going to talk about Dylan Brooks when his career is over. We don't know that.
No, he said no one will talk about Dylan Brooks when he's retired.
Can I ask you a question? Who's talking about Klay Thompson after his career is over?
Come on.
Get out of here.
Stugotz, what are you kidding me?
Are you going to sit around 25 years from now talking about Klay Thompson?
He's the best shooting guard of all time.
But in Stugotz's
You'll talk about Steph. You'll talk about Draymond. You'll talk about Steve
You're not
Kerr.
going to talk about Klay Thompson, one of the best two-way players we've ever seen?
No.
I agree that 20 years from now, it'll be Steph Curry, Kevin Durant that will really think back on those Warriors.
Guys,
I'm not saying we
hold on a
won't
second.
say.
Hold on.
He's James Worthy.
Hold on. You guys quit.
James.
We talk about James Worthy.
What are you on about?
You guys are
Right.
being
We
really...
throw him into a conversation.
He's one of the guys that will be talked about with this team, but he's clearly behind Durant and Steph. I mean, he's played on a deep team. I'm with you.
He's behind Steph.
You're
I
with
don't
Stugotz on what?
That Klay Thompson might in history be overlooked with this dominant team. I just don't think he's not the first name you're going to say.
He's one of the fair enough. He's with an immortal who's the best shooter ever.
And that's what Stu's saying.
But wait a minute.
And Draymond.
We didn't forget Scottie Pippen.
Wait a minute.
We didn't forget Scottie Pippen.
What does a person have to do if winning 4 championships and being one of the best shooters ever is Stugotz still saying who the hell is Klay Thompson?
Not play with Steph. I mean,
okay. Yeah, it's just
Scottie Pippen never did it by him. He's Scottie Pippen.
Durant's his Pippen. Durant is Curry's Pippen.
Durant jumped in after they won 73 games. They won 73 games.
Thank you for finally coming around.
As the co-star.
But the way it was in the news and the way it was covered, I'm just, like 30 years from now, the way we're going to look back on these teams.
It's always been the Splash Brothers.
Scottie was a definitive number 2. The number
Klay
2
Thompson is the number 2.
No, well, Kevin Durant became the number 2,
Yes,
or the number
Klay
1. Then
got hurt.
Steph became a number 2.
They won 4.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Durant doesn't have any, according to you, and 2 when he went there.
Yeah.
Like
1 without Klay, though, right?
Klay Thompson is not Andrew Bogut.
I don't know what you're doing.
I'm just saying, Dan, we're not going to sit around. I agree. No one's going to sit around talking about Dylan Brooks when he retires.
He's one of the top 100 players ever. He was right to be hurt that he wasn't among the top 50 or top 75. He was hurt by that because he knows what his status is. Like, you got to be shitting me that you're not willing to extend some respect to one of the greatest shooters ever. Indisputably.
I'm willing to extend respect. He is a great shooter. I'm just saying, when you and I are sitting on the porch 20 years from now discussing the NBA, it's going to be a long time before Klay Thompson's name come up.
You know
and
what?
I have no idea why I had me and you on a porch
You
still
guys
talking
are
sports.
I am so with Stugotz on this. You guys
You're
are
gonna
living
punch
in
me
the
in the
moment.
face. I
Like you're naming, like 30 years from now on some championship team, like you guys are naming every play. Like Klay, he flies under the
Klay was
radar.
second.
Always
It's
Steph and
not-
Klay.
Klay is not just any player. He's not Harrison Barnes. He's not Andre Iguodala. He is not like the role play. He was the
honestly,
co-star.
Iguodala with those MVPs.
Yep.
When we look
A-
back 30
no,
years from
no,
now,
come on,
look, I'm not
come
sitting.
on.
You guys see, you
We'll
guys are.
say, can you believe it? Iguodala won the MVP
guys
of the
are just-
finals on that team?
You guys are
Right.
just doing this thing where you're dismissing it without even like
No.
having the debate.
Chris,
We're not saying that he's not a
Chris,
great shooter. We're not saying that he's
listen.
not
That's
a
all we
main
ask you
reason
to
for
do.
their success. We're just saying because of how he's not a flashy, polarizing guy, that years from now, 30 years from now, you might say Andre Iguodala before you even say Klay.
I have to be honest. When I threw it out there, I did not think I would have an ally, but thank you.
And let me explain something to you. If 20 years, my future, if we're looking into my future and I'm sitting on a porch with Stugotz, it's only because I've taken an overdosed amount of pills. Like, I will be so unhappy with my life.
I'll be thrilled.
But can we?
I'll spend all night out in Venice. Then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling. But I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin. Not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney?
It is! Baby once got you at the Roxy.
Come on now! One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go!
Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thin bowl of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton. Hey
guys, need a shotgun of beer or what? I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now. Let's do another round of shots. One more round.
I am often spectacularly wrong. I don't think, however, that the universe has laughed at me more about something being wrong than not that many years ago, me rooting for the anarchy of Donald Trump in those debates, making a giant mess of things, not thinking that there would be any chance in holy hell that he would actually emerge from any of that to become president of the United States. And over the weekend, he is saying on Truth Social, and I haven't read much about this, but I think it was a strategic mistake by him to give up his Twitter following in order to start his own.
Well, now it's available to him again. He started it because he was banned.
Uh-huh.
Elon Musk has allowed him back on
But
Twitter.
he hasn't been using it, correct? Because he's using his own thing, and he weaponized Twitter better than any politician ever.
He dictated the news every day.
And
he started the news cycle with his tweets, and I believe because he owns part of Truth Social, that he is contractually obligated to use Truth Social and not Twitter for a certain period of time. I don't know when that period of time ends, but he's still there just because he has to be.
And he says on Truth Social that he expects to be arrested tomorrow, Stugotz. And I really don't know, given what his base is, if this will be good for him. Weirdly, like the Chris Cody argument that Zion Williamson's sneaker exploding was good for Nike because any pub is good pub. I'm not actually sure that being arrested, things are so distorted. I've gotten everything wrong here, underestimated so many things so incorrectly here that I really can't answer in this disorienting of an America whether him strategically deciding to take a perp walk so that he can be seen by his people in a way that would make them angry, protest, rioting, the rare white riot. You don't get many of those. White people riot during celebrations. You get January 6th. You do not get this. And I don't know what's going to happen when he does get arrested, but I'm not totally sure as we sit here that it's going to be bad for his cause, because he has said himself, I could kill somebody in the street and my people would still stay at my side. So is getting arrested, if you're dealing with so much misinformation, if you're dealing with such an alternate set of facts that your people are living in a different reality than the people who oppose you, in the kind of division, Stugotz, politically, that makes no sense to me. Having lived half a century on this earth, what I am watching now in the extremes is so confusing to me that this can be supported, that a criminal, a criminal liar who is corrupt at his core in every way, can be seen as the everyman who is being wronged and a victim. It's baffling to me that if he does get arrested, I'm not totally positive. If we have the surreal scene of a former president of the United States being arrested, that I can't argue here with conviction that that's bad for him and his cause as he gets back into the news stream, and the polling numbers suggest that he's a more viable option than DeSantis.
His base believes anything he says. So at this point, tomorrow's a good day for Donald Trump in the eyes of his base, because it lends to what he's been saying all along. This is a witch hunt. They'll find anything to get me. They don't do this with other presidents. They want me, and listen, he's not really fighting it too hardly. Like, he almost wants to get arrested. Like, he's going to walk out, here are my hands, put the cuffs on, and let the world see it.
I'm not sure they're going to be cuffs. I'm not sure there's going to be an actual perp walk. But strategically, I'm wondering whether his people would advise him to have a public video, a public showing of him, quote unquote, being wronged by a system. The idea that anybody would believe. Like, do you know how little faith you have to have in our systems to think our systems are more corrupt than he is? You're not looking at the same things I'm looking at. And I don't have a lot of faith in American systems right now. If you somehow think that that human being is being wronged, you're just getting a different reality, a different set of facts, a different information. If somehow, not only, Stugotz, have we arrived in a place where we can plausibly make the argument that a former president being arrested might not actually be bad for him, but I also think in politics, we might have a situation where each of the sides is rooting for the other to die, to physically actually die, for Biden to die and for Trump to die, so that you can win.
Well, I do think from that perspective, I think Joe Biden might want Donald Trump to win the nomination. I think politically, he might fear DeSantis more because it's all of the Trump stuff, but none of the crazy. And I think a lot of people will view DeSantis as not crazy. So politically, Joe Biden might want Donald Trump to win.
Already beat him.
Right, he already beat him.
Right.
And it's like, all right, I just got to go beat him. And he's weaker than before. He's not on Twitter anymore. And like he's a political combatant with Ron DeSantis.
You know how absurd it is, though, the idea that we would talk, like how many things have changed and how weird it is to see them change, that we're talking in general about a former president being arrested, and that we wonder, like, look, you may disagree with it. You may think it's asinine to wonder whether or not this is good or bad for him, but the fact that it's not like echoing eternally damaging for him just tells you how contaminated the information system is in this country in a way that I never thought it would be, that some people are getting their news from news sources that would paint Donald Trump as a victim who is somehow purer than the people who have spent this amount of time investigating him, that you would think that he would be the more honest version in the clash between American legal ramifications and Donald Trump. It's just a crazy thing to witness. It's not something that I believe anybody could have predicted in any sort of futuristic scenario using the data points that we've had throughout the history of American politics.
Well, it's the logical endpoint of politics being sports, because that's what it has been for the last few years. And basically, the ideology is whatever allows us to win. You don't have to accept facts from anybody else because, you know, media sources, the court system, there's just enough of a grain of a lack of credibility to not have to accept what they're saying if it goes against you. And I think the ultimate thing that proves your point is what's going on with the Dominion story and Tucker Carlson, because there is an overwhelming burden of proof that not only did Fox News personalities know that they were spewing nonsense, but that internally they were saying amongst themselves, God, what we're saying is complete bullshit. And like they acknowledge that they feed their viewers nonsense, things that are not true, because it's good for business and because we have to make sure that Newsmax and OAN and the other news sources are not going to take our stuff. And so we're just going to purposely spew propaganda that's wrong, that might legally expose our company, because it's better than just acknowledging the truth that Donald Trump lost.
Stugotz,
It's better for business.
I could be naive about any number of things. I just can't believe that anyone in our audience or anyone consuming media could have foreseen the set of events that might get him arrested in the next couple of days, and that there would be a substantive faction, not the 20% that you can agree with, you can get to agree with anything, a substantive faction of people who somehow believe in some sort of purity with this man, that would frame him as a victim and look at everything from the media to the justice system as being more corrupt than he is, when you have an avalanche of evidence that this man is at his core someone without a moral fiber. At his core, that all it is about is winning, a professional grifter.
But 6 years ago, I agree, just about everyone would be shocked. But we're past that point, right? You're not going to be surprised now if tomorrow ends up being a good day for him and his base.
No, Stugotz, I'm still surprised that we've arrived here. And forgive me for being
But we've been here for quite some time now.
But I
You still can't believe it.
I can't believe this is the America that I live in.
It's crazy.
I'm like, you can say, well, this is where we are now. You shouldn't be surprised by that. I don't want to be numb to this.
Right.
Like, I don't. When the history that you're talking about makes it so that now patriot is a bad word to me. Woke gets stolen and just becomes a ridiculous platform that doesn't have anything else on it. It's just a word to drape around. I don't like others, and I'm going to run that as a platform. Anybody who doesn't look like a white person, I'm against them. That's not the America that I thought I was living in, and I sound like an idiot still being surprised by it, but how the fuck did we arrive in a place where a former United States president getting arrested is just like 75th on his list of scandals? I mean, he's just totally diluted. He's created a bunch of offspring, a contaminated, corrupt offspring, that now you got a bunch of people who are just shameless about facts don't matter, just sell people an assortment of lies that they want to hear.
Dan, there's a lot of investigations pending. Like, which one is he actually being arrested for? Because I don't really know. Do we know what it is?
Stormy Daniels.
Oh, okay, that one. I didn't know.
It can be any number of them.
That's why I was confused.
That's the thing, though. It's like it's 75th on the list. I mean, this is not the big one. Is the one in Georgia, right?
Oh.
It's the one with what happened with the election.
What's a big one? He's got a million.
What about the
Watergates.
taxes one?
The taxes one. Yeah.
But this seems like the small story of all the stories that are out there. It's like getting Capone on like accounting, like tax evasion.
I thought this was the taxes one up until you guys just said Stormy Daniels. I thought this was taxes.
He's flooded the stream with scandal in a way that makes people numb to scandal. Totally. Santos is not allowed to exist at any time before now. Just lying about everything and staying in power. Nothing about the person is true. And yeah, I'm just going to stay in office.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the part that's different. But at the very least, our shame politics work enough to where he's sort of completely powerless and he'll be voted out in a year and a half. But the fact that he can persist and still be there, it's astounding. How is he still there? Why does he want to still be there?
Get him out.
As Jets and Dolphins fans, Stugotz and I have hated the word patriot for a long time.
I waved them off like 8 minutes ago on that.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid shadows. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin. Not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thimble of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton.
Hey guys, need a shotgun of beer or what? I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now.
To the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Let's do another round of shots. One more round.
It's showtime, buddy.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and
We will be updating our March Sadness tournament all week long, brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. We will see, and we will update you on whether or not the negotiations with Chris Cody, making him an honorary owl. He went to FAU. The coach was on with us earlier and told us that he can sit on the bench during the game and
be a hype man for the team.
Be a
Got
hype
plenty
man.
of seats, he said, actually.
He was just yes-anding. He was playing the improv
We'll
game.
see.
That's
We'll
not
see.
a genuine offer.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you feel that way, but we will continue. I don't think it's bad for them. I don't think that he has to be so sacred about it. I don't know how progressive he is about drumming up interest for his program, but certainly if he were to do that, he would have our audience, and not insignificant one, on his side for playing along.
I feel like he could and should be able to do whatever he wants right now for FAU. If he wants Chris Cody on the bench, then Chris Cody's on the bench. Is that fair?
I think he probably has that power right now, and he said there's plenty of room, but Whittingham thinks it's just a public play and that we will never hear from him again, that he was just saying that to be playful and that he will disappear into the shadows after that. We will find out over the course of the week together. I suspect that Whittingham is probably right. It'll be another thing that we talk about and don't actually accomplish. It's one of our strengths around here.
That's right.
It's one of the things that we're best at. It's a signature.
We're making an ass of putting a member of our show at the end of it. We've never met this person.
That's
we
right.
woke up on Monday morning. It's
That's
like,
right.
hey, can we get the FAU coach on?
That's right.
We have no connection to this program.
Well, Chris went there.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity here. I mean, let's strike. I think he was serious. Listen, I know the guy at Media Relations for FAU. We're going to reach out to him. Chris first needs to check with his wife, and then we'll go from there.
We're
We'll
clear.
keep everyone posted. You're clear?
Yeah, we're clear.
All right, good.
I mean, she'll hate me, but we're clear.
We will find out together. I hope this isn't yet another one of these things that just peters out, because it's all we do around here. But let's update March Sadness right now by telling you that number 15 Princeton is still somehow in the tournament, which means this is still somehow in the tournament.
Dan Campbell looks like the dad who overly commits to his princess character at his daughter's tea party.
I think it's better than any of the ones that were eliminated.
Of all of our lower seeds, this is the one we probably wanted to go through.
Yes, because these others aren't great. I didn't think. Number 2, Arizona is gone, although this
Greg
time...
Popovich looked like a white blood cell.
I went early, sorry.
That's all right.
That was a good one, though.
This is not, though. Sean Miller is not to blame for this one.
Oh,
even
yes,
though
he is.
Stugotz is still blamed. Well, we didn't make a fun. Yes, well, we didn't make enough fun of you.
How?
Because you said Kansas never wins. They're the defending champion.
Dan, but the larger macro point is true. Outside of last year, they're perpetually a
And
team.
2008.
Yep.
But that was 1,000 years ago.
Chalmers.
Doesn't matter.
Well, Tony,
Chalmers,
most teams, years they don't win the tournament,
No, but
exit the
Kansas
tournament.
specifically always loses a game that they should never lose.
Except
they've got a great team, and then all of a sudden they get beat by Old Dominion. You're like, how? And you're like, oh, exactly, because Kansas sucks.
But they're the defending champions.
This year, yeah.
Well, if we go through the most recent of the history,
Most teams don't win the championship.
At Le Batard Show on Twitter, can you still blame Arizona's loss on Sean Miller? Early votes are in, Dan. 84% of the audience says yes.
number 7 Missouri is gone. That means this is gone.
Adam Silver looked like a game piece from the board game Sorry.
And number 10 Utah State is also Adam Silver.
Adam Silver looked like a grapefruit seed.
You're right.
Before we get to Tony's MMA minute, I simply wanted to ask you, I don't think many people saw this. We're going to try and get to funniest thing from the sports weekend as well. Markel Fultz, during a game against the Phoenix Suns, I don't know if you saw this, Stugotz, but there were important free throws that needed to be taken toward the end of the game by Terrence Ross. And right before Terrence Ross went up to the free throw line, Markel Fultz bent down and untied his shoelaces.
That's sensational decision making by Markel Fultz. I love that. I hope everybody takes up with that in the NBA.
I think it should be a technical foul.
Do you really?
Well, because it's legitimately distracting. Like that's if Terrence Ross
It's
has
not putting your hands
it's
up.
not whispering trash talk. It's not. You're now making him bend down and taking more oxygen than he had expended before that. You're making him tie his shoelaces. That doesn't seem to be legal. That doesn't seem to be something that should be allowed in a professional setting. As much as I root for it as content, I'd be annoyed by that if I was about to take free throws and somebody was allowed to do that.
I have Kansas's tournament history. Do we want to go through it and see whether or not they're actually a giant disappointment?
When's the last time they lost to Old Dominion?
They are.
Old Dominion was,
No, he's absolutely
ODU.
right that they lose a lot of games that they're not supposed to lose.
But they're the champions.
That's correct. That's the part.
This year, though. I meant for other years.
We're having the
years
argument
prior.
in this year.
Give me bad
even
turn. In the
remembers?
last 10 years, there's got to be a couple bad losses for Tony to be
No,
right.
when you think of teams that have choked early in the tournament, you think of Arizona and Kansas. Those
Kansas,
are certainly two of the
but
teams. I mean, Arizona's won a title as well.
For Tony to be right, in the last 10 years, they've had to have lost to like a double-digit seed.
Chris Cody, he's not allowed to be right Because they're the defending champions. Like, there's no right here. There's no.
Any other year, he would have been right.
The last time the championship was played, they don't always lose the important games to nobody when there's only one defending champion. There's one. There's one. They won all their games in the tournament last year.
I still agree with them, though.
I want to hear from Woody on this.
The take would have been great.
Woody's got the numbers.
2021, they're the 3 seed. They lose to a 6 seed USC by 34.
That's not a bad loss.
It is a bad loss.
34.
Terrible loss.
A 16, like a 6 seed is not like a
34 by 34.
All right.
Why am I arguing this? Why are we even talking about this?
2019, 4 seed, lose to the 5 seed at Auburn by 14. 2018, they get to the Final Four and lose to Villanova, the eventual champions. 2017, they get to the Elite Eight and lose to the 3 seed Oregon. 2016, they're the 1 seed, they get to the Elite Eight, they lose to the 2 seed Villanova.
Tony, they have no bad losses here. I mean, maybe the USC
Hold on, keep going.
Give us some time.
2015, they're the 2 seed, they lose to the 7 seed Wichita State.
Debate. All right.
The Shockers. 2014, lose in the second round to Stanford, the 10 seed. Sweet 16 loss to Michigan by 2 in overtime. Lose in the national championship in 2012. Lose in the Elite Eight in 2011 to VCU. Lose to Northern Iowa. Now we're in the sort of range. Northern Iowa 2010, they lose 2 in the second round. Then it's national championship. They won the thing in 08. Sweet 16, lose to the 2 seed Michigan State as a 3 seed.
Judges, Tony,
a lot of elite
not
eights
right.
there.
Not
A lot
right,
of
Tony.
elite eights.
Okay, we're not right.
Your
A lot
best
of Final
run,
Fours.
Your best run is 05-06 when they lost to the 14 seed Bucknell and the 13 seed Bradley.
That's what I remember.
And 20 years ago,
Northern
16
Iowa.
years ago, this take would have crushed.
So 2008 is forever ago, but 2010, because it supports
Right
your
there.
argument, isn't that long ago.
Right there.
Okay, but how recent is last year?
Still agree.
I shouldn't reward you for this, but give me an MMA minute.
All right.
Give me an
UFC
MMA
286.
minute.
You should take 2 minutes.
Thank you. UFC 286 in London. We had probably one of the greatest. Ooh, hold on. I got music.
I'm
With
just
the beat
stealing from the
drops.
Formula 1 minute because
Yeah, let's
Justin
go.
endures today, so music needs to be used.
Go ahead.
I'm waiting for the beat to drop. All right, UFC 286, Leon Rocky Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. And if you want to remember, 10 months ago in August in Salt Lake City, with nothing to do, one of the greatest upsets in the MMA world. Kamaru Usman, who had won 15 straight fights starting to the UFC, 5-time defending champion for his title, was head kicked out of nowhere with a minute left in the 5th round. Leon Edwards, who has been passed up for title fights, who has been leapfrogged by other fighters, has never had this opportunity, was losing 3-1 in that fight, comes with a head kick, ends Kamaru Usman. Now 10 months later, in London, his home country, about to fight the guy who has kind of been his boogeyman.
As a big underdog.
As a plus 200 underdog at our, soulmates at DraftKings. This fight was probably one of the biggest welterweight fights we've ever seen because of it being the trilogy, because of what happened last. And Leon Edwards, I actually spoke to John Anik, play-by-play GOAT for the UFC. He said that Teddy Atlas told him, we're going three levels deep here, that once you get the belt, you're 30% better than what you were prior to getting the belt. And Leon Edwards showed that. He was hitting massive body kicks on Kamaru Usman the entire time. And obviously, as we remember, the head kick ended Kamaru Usman in that fight in 278.
Time!
He won, and it was a great fight.
Can't go 3 layers deep in the F1 minute.
But Teddy Atlas, though, come on. I had to get a Teddy Atlas quote in. Via John Anik, via me.
You ask him one question, he'll talk for 9 minutes. It's a Teddy Atlas experience.
Yes, and as he has gotten older, those stories have become a little slower and less interesting. That is I do remember that. I remember having 5 minutes, a 5-minute interview with Teddy Atlas on Highly Questionable that lasted 44 minutes.
One question.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid shadows. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin. Not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is!
Baby one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thimble of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton. Hey
guys, need a shotgun of beer or what? I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now.
All right, we failed to get to funniest thing of the sports weekend throughout the course of the show, so let's get to it right now in the postgame show.
Hey, people, tell us what in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha, ha, ha!
All right, let's go to Jer Bear first. Jer Bear, what do you got? Funniest thing of the sports weekend?
Gotta love spring training baseball, as we saw from Chris and Billy.
You don't have
That's
to
why I'm watching World Baseball Classic.
Okay.
That's why I'm watching the WBC.
Fine. Well, you have a couple people back here
really
who
jumped down his
maybe
throat.
called games on the radio.
Oh, that's
Right.
just self-involved.
He was just trying to set
I'm
up
just trying to
his
start. This is
funny
my
thing.
first
No,
funniest
we know
thing.
what he was doing, but, I mean, the guys are right. You don't have to love
but
spring
he's
training
you don't,
baseball.
you don't.
I mean, technically. But
Welcome to the team, Jerry.
anyway.
So you got to love spring training baseball, where guys like Zach Greinke will
Greinke's still
purposefully give up hits in
Yeah.
spring training. It seems like over the weekend, Zach Greinke decided that because he hasn't had enough of an opportunity as a right-hander to work on his pickoff move, that he would purposefully allow hits. The quote was, "I've been complaining, actually. The people haven't been getting on base, so I can't work on pickoff moves all spring. So wanting to work on pickoffs, that's what spring training is usually for. Stuff like that." Like I said, gotta love spring training.
I saw the stats on this. He was just grooving fastballs. He ended up throwing multiple pickoff moves to each base in the game.
Yep.
Right.
Like he literally was just like, please get on base so I can work on pickoff moves.
But isn't Major League Baseball considering banning the pickoff?
They're limiting pickoffs this season, yes.
Okay.
That's why it's even funnier.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So this year, it's actually kind of a cool rule. You can pick off twice before there's anything that happens. But if you go to pick off at first base for a third time in a singular at-bat, you either get the runner out or he gets second base.
You mean an attempted pickoff?
An attempted pickoff
Right.
over at first.
I like that rule.
In one at bat. Okay.
Nobody's going to attempt that third pickoff move because it's such a risk. Because back in the
Right,
day,
you never get them.
You're never gonna get them. So it's like that would be weird if you actually see that.
I thought it was for the whole game.
But you could also get in that situation where once the base runner's been attempted to be picked off twice, he might
taking a huge lead.
I'm gonna take an even bigger lead now because I
Right.
want you to, even though
Strategy.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
You're trying to hold them close to the bag, which you can no longer do. Well, you can do it twice.
You can do it twice.
Otherwise,
So-
you're giving them a free base.
So it's two
Yes.
pickoff attempts per at bat?
I believe so.
That doesn't seem like enough. I feel like we need to restrict this even more.
I love that we're trying to speed this game up so much.
Yeah. Well, getting back to our earlier conversations, because baseball is a fun problem. So instead of being funner, we're gonna be faster.
Yes.
That's the solution.
Get through the misery faster.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's speed this thing up. Come on.
Didn't Marty Fish say that? Be bad fast?
Yes. He did. Chris Cody, what do you have?
Providence lost to Kentucky in the first round of the men's
Friars.
tournament.
Yeah.
And Josh Graham tweeted out a horrifying-looking picture after the game, which was just inexplicably the Providence mascot standing outside of the media workroom, just staring at the wall for longer than 5 minutes. And
5 minutes?
He said he saw him doing it for longer than 5 minutes, just without any movements, just staring at a wall. There's a picture of it on Twitter. It looks terrifying. Like if I walked out of my bedroom in the middle of the night and I saw this Providence mascot just staring at a wall, I'd run away in fear.
I like the idea of the guy inside the mascot, like just on his phone. Just like scrolling on his phone, but all you see is the mascot staring at the wall, but he's inside like on Twitter.
I think the Providence coach took a new job, Ed Cooley.
Georgetown.
Yeah, Georgetown.
He's at Georgetown?
He did the...
I have FAU guy going to Providence. I mean,
you think that's a step up?
Yeah. I think anything's a step up from FAU, don't you?
But Ed Cooley was going to be he did like I'm not going to be the Alabama coach move, the Providence coach going to Georgetown. Like he's apparently been denying it all weekend, and then he's going to end up going there anyway.
Of course.
That's not Cooley of him.
Oh, good joke, Jeremy. Welcome to the back row, my friend.
Get him out of here.
I love this.
Would uncooley have worked better? No.
All bad jokes.
Yeah. Woody, what do you have?
I'm going during the Farley Dickinson game. Did I say that correctly? Fairleigh Dickinson. Fairleigh Dickinson game.
You were fairly close.
This guy's getting
Get him out of here, dude.
I like
this
it.
guy's getting comfortable.
They cut during the television broadcast of the Fairleigh Dickinson game against FAU to their media relations person as sort of like a, hey, thanks to the media relations guy. It turns out that the media relations guy is a junior at the school. And his title is Director of Media Relations for the FDU Athletic Department. He's a junior at the school.
I love that.
I mean, that's a quick elevation to that title. And the kid was just like full suit, wearing glasses. I love the look. But yeah, there's not a big budget, I would imagine, at the Fairleigh Dickinson Athletic Department.
16 seed, March.
It looks like the kid broadcasters for the Heat, where they're like sitting there in like a little suit. And you're like, hey, that guy's young.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's his only suit.
The maroon suit didn't do this guy
That's a
any
power
favors.
move. If that's your only suit, you have a maroon one.
Yeah.
Tony, what's yours?
Eric Musselman going into the stands,
It's the
taking
best.
off his shirt,
He's
waving
the
around his
best.
head like a helicopter. Shout out to Petey Pablo.
Cronin Musselman. Oh my God,
It's on.
Matchup for the ages.
I mean,
But first, Cronin has to get past Izzo.
that was the first thing you looked at when the bracket came out was, whoa, Cronin and Musselman, they're in the same bracket.
Yes.
And like we're a game away
I know.
from this happening. I kind of want to do like a DraftKings parlay of the two of them, of Arkansas and UCLA, so that it can set up that matchup. Like I so desperately want this to happen.
But Izzo and Musselman is a good consolation
It
prize
is.
in case we
It
don't
is.
get it, right?
But Mark Few can ruin
Poor
this.
Mark Few.
Mark Few can
No,
ruin
he's not
this.
going to
Gonzaga, another team. Get out
I
of here.
know, another
Sucks.
one of
That's
those
true.
teams.
You know
Yeah.
what?
Team that sucks.
You
Yeah.
could have gone Arizona. You could have gone St. Mary's. You could have gone Gonzaga. For me, is the ultimate one. The ultimate like
Always one seed,
how
get
many
beat by a
times-
10. Get
how
out of
many
here.
times are we seeing them be 29-3 in the WCC and never do anything?
And
in
get
the
blown
tournament?
out.
Enough.
Woody, if they don't make it, are you going to say, phew?
Oh, this
Oh,
guy is
God.
on it today. Oh, Jeremy.
That's my funniest thing from the sports weekend.